Okay, today we got a different little dish going on. We're going to be making some alligator fillet tenders. Basically, alligator is a meat that tastes similar to chicken. Some say pork. Consistency a little bit similar to calamari. To kind of get out of that rubberish type of texture, we're going to be marinating, dipping, and frying. We'll marinate in a water, vinegar, oil base liquid marinade with onions in it, thyme, basil. You can pretty much season it however you want because alligator meat does absorb flavors well. So the marinade will penetrate the meat of the alligator, and this is of the alligator tail. This is actually alligator tail meat, which is the best part to eat, basically. And that comes from Eunice, Louisiana. They sell it at HyVee for about $12 to $15 a pound. We'll also be doing an egg wash. Once the meat sits in the refrigerator in the marinade for 24 hours, we'll be doing an egg wash where we will include sea salt, Chef Prudhomme's 7-spice herb. It's a seasoning with no salt in it. I'm using something other than Mrs. Dash. I picked that up at HyVee, something a little different. Go check that out. And also we're going to have an egg or two as the base of the egg wash. You can also add any other seasonings you'd like. We're going to let that sit overnight also and get some of them flavors going through that egg. And then tomorrow what we're going to do is fry up the marinated alligator. And we're just going to fry it in some 375-degree oil. We'll be using olive oil. And see what it's hitting for. And go from there. We can use a dip on this, or you can eat them plain. I'll probably use a honey mustard, maybe a little bit of ranch going on to just kind of mix it up, see what it tastes better with. Alright, so we'll be back to get it started. Okay, for y'all that have seen my videos, you know I usually always go through the ingredients on here before we get started, which I'm going to do here. Basically, we have we're going to put water in a bowl here to get it started. We're going to put water in a bowl, and then we're going to put oil in there, olive oil. We're going to put, I'm using apple cider vinegar. This is going to be as a marinade. And then I'm going to put some bell pepper and onion in there and to help season the marinade. I'm also going to put some rosemary in there, and that's just something I just thought about. And then I'm also put a bay leaf in there and some thyme. Okay, bay leaf and thyme. If you don't want to fool with this liquid marinade, you can always just pick up a meat tenderizer too. This is a Kroger meat tenderizer. I don't use this a whole lot because it's got a lot of salt in it. Then after we're done marinating and let it sit 24 hours, we're going to use a sea salt and then black pepper to season our egg wash. And then this here is the Chef Prudhomme's Magic 7-Herb Blend. And that doesn't have any salt in it. That's why I picked it up today, because it don't have no salt. So we're going to put that in the egg wash. And I'm also actually going to sprinkle a little bit of this onto the alligator meat when we put it in the marinade. Okay, so we need 4 ounces of alligator meat. We'll weigh that out. As you can see, it looks like chicken. Let's see, that's 3 ounces. And that's almost 5. But we'll do that amount. So I got 1 serving there. I want to have 2 servings of this, so I'm going to figure I'll go with 8. 6 and a half. And 1 more piece. Okay, that's 7.5 of alligator meat. I'm going to put another little piece on there because this meat has tendons in it, I'm noticing. It's got those tendons, which is those white fiber looking things there. Fibers, and then you got a tendon. You got to cut those out because those are no good to try to chew through. Some people will eat all of that, but I don't mess around with them tendons. They just, something I don't mess around with. I cut them out. Alright, so we'll go ahead, put our scale there out of the way. Get that where you, and then I'm going to just cut that tendon out of there. I don't know how deep that goes, but I will soon find out. Some tendons are all the way through the meat. And this one here actually wasn't one, so Got that one out. Let's see. This one here, we got another little tendon right there, looks like. Cut that baby out. That one is going up in the meat itself. Know what I'm going to do with that baby. I'm going to just cut it out like this. There we go. Might cut a little bit of the meat with it, but oh well. I'd rather do that than be chewing on something for days. Okay. We got another piece of tendon here. This is a very tendinous type of creature, I see. I don't know if I'll be buying this no more. Okay, so we got that one out of there. That there looks good there. That's how I wish it would all look, was like that. That's a good piece looking like right there too. I got a little piece of tendon in there. But I'm going to go ahead and get these tendons cut out of this deal. I don't know what this alligator was eating when he was down in the bayou, but it's going to be changed here. So I'll see you back in a minute. Okay, now we're going to see how much this meat weighs now. It was about 7.5 ounces before I cut all them doggone tendons out of there. There go another one there. I got to get that out of there. That is not looking too edible. Yeah, like I say, a lot of people will eat those tendons, but I don't like to struggle chewing things when I eat. I just don't. That just ain't my cup of tea. If you can't eat it with ease, why eat it? You gotta struggle to eat something. Why waste your time and energy? It's not good for your jaws. Okay, so we got that. Okay, now we took off 1.5 ounces of tendons on this meat. I'm not too satisfied with what I'm purchasing here. Next time if I get some alligator meat, I might have to order it straight from down there, because this is 1.5 ounces of meat. That is too much to be thrown away because of tendons with small portions of meat attached. Okay, but anyway, needless to say, 6 ounces of meat, and we'll go ahead and get our marinade together here. Okay, now first of all, what I'm going to do is put some water in our bowl there. It doesn't really matter how much water you use. We just want that to be in there as a base. Enough in there so when we put the vinegar in there, which we're going to do now, we want our meat to be able to be down in there. And just add a little bit of vinegar in there. That was probably about 1/4 cup. And we're going to put our olive oil in there. Probably about a tablespoon of that. And also, we'll go ahead and put our onion and bell pepper in there. And as I say, this meat absorbs the flavor. So, go ahead and do that. And I don't mean to knock on the alligator, but because it is a very lean meat, it's very lean. And like 4 ounces only has 110 calories and 3 grams of fat. It doesn't have it's only got 1 gram of saturated fat. No sugar, 70 milligrams of salt. That's not too bad. So a lot of protein for that little bit of meat that we have here. That little bit of meat there has 20 grams of protein. That's good. Okay, now this here is a little bit of rosemary. I'm not going to put much of that in there because rosemary can overwhelm a dish. I'm going to put a bay leaf off in there, a little small one. And then I'm going to put a little bit of thyme in there. And like I say, you can just hook this up however you like. It's no exact recipe per se, or how you want to, whatever you want to put in there. We're just going to stir that up. Okay. And believe it or not, cider vinegar, a lot of people would think that's salty. No salt in it at all. It's a natural, the tang and everything, it doesn't have a lot of salt in it. Or it's this one here, none. Okay, so what we're going to do, we got our marinade. So we're going to go ahead and just put our meat in our marinade. Let's put that down in there. And that's all of our 6 ounces of our alligator meat there. Get our scale out of the way. Wash my hands real quick. That water's still hot. Must be a good water heater. Okay. Alright, now what I'm going to do now is put the Chef Paul Prudhomme's seasoning on there, and that's what that looks like. A 7-herb seasoning there. I'm trying to do this from behind, so excuse me if I'm twisted. Okay, I'm really not. Okay, we'll go ahead and just put a little bit of that in there. I haven't used this before, so I'm not going to use too much, but what captures my attention with alligator, what you season it with is the flavors that it partakes. So I want to get that marinated nice and thorough. And it don't look like much now, but I'm sure this will come back. I see a tendon in there that I don't like, but needless to say, I shouldn't have overlooked it. Okay. Alright, so we got that, and we'll come back and do our egg wash. We're going to let this sit for 24 hours. And we'll be coming back tomorrow cooking this. Put a nice airtight lid on there. And we'll come back and do our egg wash. Okay, what we're going to do here is make our egg wash. And instead of using regular eggs, I'm going to use original liquid eggs, because they only have 25 calories. And let's see, low sodium looks like 2, but I'm going to use these instead of regular eggs. So what we're going to do is just pour about a half a cup of egg in there, or you can use 2 to 3 regular eggs. I'm also add a little bit of liquid smoke. A little bit of liquid smoke, that's a little bit of my concoction. A little bit of black pepper. Like that. And then we're going to also put some of the Chef Prudhomme's 7-herb, just a little bit of that. And then we're going to use some sea salt. In there, we don't want to use too much of this because it will make it too salty. So as you can see, there's just very little sea salt on there. And then all we're going to do with that is just stir it up and let that sit in a baggie, because this is basically going to act as a coating agent for whatever type of batter or breading you want to cook this in. You don't want to do a wet batter with this, because this is already a wet agent here. The meat is wet. Unless you're going to dip it in this, dip it in a dry batter, and then dip it in a liquid batter. But I'm not going to do that. I don't really like doing that batter dipping with liquid batter. It holds a lot of salt, and it's usually a lot of fat because of the thickness of the coating. Okay, so what we're going to do here is just pour this in our baggie. Ziploc, of course, or you can get it off-brand. Make sure it's not, open this up. Make sure there's nothing on these corners there, and it looks like it's not. So we're going to pour all that in there. Those of you that know me know I don't waste nothing. Okay. And then I'm going to get quite a bit of the air out. And just seal that. Okay. So there we have it. This is our egg wash, and we're just going to let that sit also for 24 hours. We'll be back tomorrow with our marinated alligator. We're going to also have some type of a batter to cook it in. I don't know what type I'm going to use, if I want to just season up some flour, or I got some good Kentucky kernel flour that I can cook it in too. So we'll be back tomorrow to check out the finished product, hook it up in the grease, and throw down. Now what I want to show you here, this is our alligator meat that's been in the marinade for a couple of hours now. And basically what I want to show you, let me zoom in on this. if you look at the coloring of this, we've got a darker piece here, and then we're going to try to get 2 of those on there. If you can notice the difference in the coloring, it almost appears as if there's a cooking process going on, as there's lighter color. You can really see it good in this. It almost looks like a fish color now instead of a chicken. And that's due because marinating is actually, in some instances, it's a tenderizing all of the time. But in some instances, depending on the meat you cook, it does act as a somewhat pre-cooking method. When we do fry these, it will only take 1 minute to deep fry these, and they're done. So I'm seeing more so why that's so, looking at the color of this. And it, like I say, the alligator meat does partake in all of the different ingredients that you season it with, and in this case also we're marinating it. So this should be pretty good, and I can feel the tenderness of it now versus when I first cooked it also. I'm going to get a package here. Now this here is what I had originally in the freezer. Okay, now here we got more of a comparison of the color. You got the marinated here, and then you got the color here that's, we didn't marinate this. This here is just going to be frozen. But you see it's more of a pinkish color. It looks like chicken breast, actually, is what it looks like, chicken breast. Here. Just notice the coloring, and then versus the white color there. So that just goes to tell us, like I say, that it's a slow cooking process going on. If this is looking like this after about 2 hours, wow, tomorrow it's probably just going to be transparent almost. But we're going to let them flavors cut through, and this should be, like I say, a very good, this will be my lunch for tomorrow actually. I'm going to eat this with some Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce is what I'm going to have with that. So we'll go ahead and let it do its thing, and we'll get back to our thing, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, now what we have here, I set up a little station. I've already took our alligator meat out of the marinade, putting it in the egg wash, as you can see, to get it nice and coated with the egg, so that way our flour, I decided to go with a seasoned flour that I seasoned up myself. That way I didn't get all that salt from the pre-packaged seasonings you can buy. Okay, so we got those, and then I got the seasoned flour. I'm just going to drop these in there. The main thing when you do this, you want to make sure try to get flour on all of these. That way it doesn't stick to the bag and leave big wet spots on the bag. And we reuse our seasoned flour, but I just made this fresh batch. Okay, so we got that there. And the egg wash, you do want to discard that, because it won't be good to use unless you have another batch of alligator meat to cook. You wouldn't want to put chicken or something else in there right now. Basically, just shake this up really good. Nice and coated. I always try to squeeze it a little bit in there. And then I also will take my hands in there and mix it up even more. Make sure you want to get those moist spots, because when you drop it in the grease, you don't want that alligator meat to be wet. It's the last thing you want, and hot grease. Okay, got our plate here, and we're just going to give it a shake, drop them on there. Give it a shake in the bag, drop it on there. It was nicely battered. Those are going to be good and have a nice coating on there. And make sure you get them all out of the flour too. That's why I had to throw the other flour out, because it had too many, I'll say, foreign objects in it. I just did away with it. Okay, so we're done with that. Wash my hands here. And then we'll go ahead and toss these babies in the grease. And I'm going to be having this for lunch today with a soy, strawberry, banana, and coconut almond soy milk. There we go. And that'll be my lunch. Okay, we'll go ahead and hit the fryer and drop them in. I want to show you how easy these babies are to cut through. Very tender. Now imagine if you don't marinate them, you use meat tenderizer. That'll be fine too. Look at that. A lot of meat in there too. It's not all breading, that's all meat. Okay, and what we'll do is go ahead and drop a little bit of flour in there, or water. That's how you want it. You want it to start bubbling, and go ahead and put our alligator pieces in there. And these might have a little moisture in them, which they do. I can hear it crackling a little bit, but that's fine. And these only cook for about 1 minute. And one more little piece. There we go. Get that cooking nice and fine there. You only cook these, like I say, for about a minute. Because, like I say, they cooked a little bit in the process already. In the marinating process. So, you don't want them to overcook. The last thing you want. Alright. Got a frying deal there. Kind of move them around a little bit. See what they look like. Ooh, those are looking good. And those are going to be pretty good. At least they look good. A different spoon. A little smaller spoon now. Turn them babies around. Boy, that's looking good. Wait till you feel. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to have a soy protein strawberry banana shake with this for my lunch. With a little bit of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue. And I'll be having close to, let's see, these would be 21 grams of protein. The shake is 22 grams of protein. So that's a nice chunk of 43 grams. That's a protein just in my lunch. I try to get about 60 to 65 grams of protein a day. So this will set me off pretty good, and it'll give you a lot of energy, and you won't be hungry for a while. These babies should be just about done. Give it a little test here with my fork. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and take those out right now. And we'll look at the finished product when we return. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and see what they hidden for. Everything is all ready, looking good. Boy, this baby really looks good. Thick. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, let me see here. Ooh, those look good. I ended up doing 2 sauces. I did a jalapeno ranch, and then I got some Sweet Baby Ray's. Can't go wrong. I can smack on this, but I won't do that for y'all. As you can see, very tender. all that marinade, you can taste it in the meat. If you don't want a thick coating like this, don't use the egg wash. But I very seldom eat stuff with a thick coating, but since the meat is so nutritional, only 3 grams of fat and 4 ounces, can't too much go wrong with that. And I thought it had 70 grams of salt in it, and it doesn't have any. Alligator don't have no salt in it at all. I don't know what it's eating down there. Well, there's some good stuff, Maynard. Them sausages on hit. Okay. Big, thick tenders. Pieces. Bites. Another one. Alligator bites. They sell it at HyVee, the meat. Go up there and hook it up. Watch my video. The kids will like these too. A bit pricey, so it might be a specialty meal sometime. But it's doable. It tastes like chicken, pork, and fish combined to me. The texture is a little bit more like calamari to fish. It's got a stiff consistency, but at the same time it's very tender like fish and chicken. Alright, fried alligator bites, soy protein shake, strawberry banana that I made. Hit the kitchen. I'll see you on the next one.